What if the Montreal Canadiens, in the midst of a meticulously planned rebuild, became the target of a media rumor so outlandish and outdated that it not only defies logic, but also insults the intelligence of the Bleu Blanc Rouge faithful? That's the absurdity we're confronting today. As a so-called international news portal publishes a headline claiming that our front office is in aggressive desperation to make a blockbuster deal for St. Louis Blues center Robert Thomas before a trade deadline of March 6th, a date that passed over 2 weeks ago on our 2026 calendar. We're at the end of March, with the dust long settled, rosters locked for the regular season's final stretch, and the focus squarely on playoff positioning. Yet, this article peddles panic and clicks with a narrative that's not just expired, but fundamentally disconnected from reality. Let's drag the simulation of a trade into our tactical operations room, dissect every argument under harsh scrutiny, and obliterate the notion that General Manager Kent Hughes would torch years of surgical rebuilding for a redundant asset at an astronomical cost. Let's start by carving into the backbone of any championship-caliber NHL team, the salary cap and locker room hierarchy. The report tosses Robert Thomas's name into the air as if he's a final puzzle piece for Montreal, spotlighting his contract. 8 years, $65 million, translating to an $8.125 million annual cap hit through the 2030-31 season. Is Thomas an excellent player? Absolutely. He's a top-line center, an elite playmaker, a surgeon with assists who can dictate the pace of a game. But do you know who already fills that exact role for the Canadiens? Our captain, Nick Suzuki. And do you know Suzuki's cap hit? $7.875 million. In the ironclad corporate culture that Hughes and Jeff Gorton have forged within the corridors of the Bell Center, there's an unwritten but crystal clear rule: the Suzuki ceiling. Our number 14 is the heart of the franchise, the undisputed leader, the player who takes the heat in victories and defeats alike. When Cole Caulfield signed his long-term deal, what was his cap hit? $7.85 million. $25,000 less than the captain. That's no coincidence. It's elite-level ego management, ensuring no one in the locker room feels bigger than the St. Flannel crest. Yet, this media piece suggests that our front office would storm the market mid-season to acquire an outsider, pay over $8.1 million annually, shattering the internal salary structure that took 3 years of financial engineering to calibrate perfectly, and create unnecessary corporate noise in a roster that's finally found its chemistry. Bringing in a player earning more than the captain to split first-line minutes in power play time is a textbook recipe for discord. Robert Thomas is a brilliant talent, but he's not a Connor McDavid or Nathan MacKinnon to justify imploding our financial hierarchy overnight. This alone exposes a rumor as detached from the Canadiens' operational DNA. The absurdity of this article skyrockets when we examine the price tag St. Louis Blues GM Doug Armstrong is supposedly demanding. The piece casually states that the cost would be the equivalent of for first-round assets, specifically naming our top offensive prospect Michael Hage and our absolute defensive pillar Caden Gould. Stop everything and reflect on the insanity of this proposal. Gould isn't just a defenseman on our roster. He's a reinforced concrete foundation upon which our future blue line is being built. We're talking about a young player who skates like the wind, possesses the size and physicality of a bulldozer, and eats the toughest minutes night after night against opponents' top lines. Defensemen like Gould are what executives call corporate unicorns. You spend years drafting, developing, and grinding through the minors to find a player of his caliber. And this article suggests we'd wrap up this unicorn as a gift, tie a red bow around him, throw in Hage, a spectacular offensive talent we just drafted in the first round, and ship the package to Missouri? If Kent Hughes walked into a boardroom and proposed trading Caden Gould for a playmaking center when we already have Nick Suzuki and Kirby Dach's system, he'd be barred from decision-making by the franchise owners in the same second. The Montreal Canadiens of the day are not the desperate Habs of the past decade. We've endured the Marc Bergevin era, where long-term planning was often sacrificed for questionable shortcuts that never delivered the ultimate title. The current regime operates under a clear mantra: build through draft, develop internally, and weaponize cap space to absorb bad contracts from other teams in exchange for more first-round picks. It's a cold, calculated business model focused on opening a championship window that lasts a decade, not a fleeting 2-month burst of competitiveness. Let's also evaluate the tactical fit of Robert Thomas on the ice under Martin St. Louis' system. Our current game plan demands high mobility, quick transitions, and wingers who can finish the plays created by our centers. We don't suffer from a shortage of playmakers at the top of our talent funnel. What we desperately need is depth on the wings. Heavy top six players who can get dirty in front of opposing goaltenders, and right-shot defensemen who can move the puck efficiently. Bringing in Thomas would be a classic case of tactical redundancy. It's like owning a Ferrari and a Porsche, then spending every remaining dollar on a Lamborghini while your house roof leaks. The luxury of pairing Thomas with Suzuki is undeniable, but the opportunity cost gets the foundation of the rest of the roster. If you lose goal in the deal, your left side defense collapses instantly, and your shiny new center spend the game skating backward in the defensive zone because your blue line can't stop a counterattack. Moreover, the logic that the St. Louis Blues would liquidate their best player at the peak age of 26 fails the basic test of market intelligence. Doug Armstrong is one of the most pragmatic and shrewd executives in the NHL. The Blues aren't in a blow-up-to-ashes rebuild. They're in a competitive retool phase. Robert Thomas is precisely the kind of cornerstone you build that retool around. Rumors of his availability likely stem from inflated insider chatter during the February news drought, mixed with the team's inconsistent performance. But turning a routine phone inquiry into aggressive desperation from Montreal is a mental gymnastic feat worthy of an Olympic medal. The article quotes insider Marco D'Amico saying patience has limits when an elite player becomes available. Yes, patience has limits. We agree. Hughes himself has proven he can be surgical and lethal in the market when the right target emerges at the right price, as seen in targeted moves for undervalued youth like Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook. But note the word undervalued. Our front office's business is finding market inefficiencies, buying low and developing high. Acquiring Robert Thomas will be buying at the historic peak of an athlete's valuation, paying the premium tax for a top-line player that carves massive chunks out of our prospect barn. The Blue Blanc Rouge fan base is fiercely intelligent and demanding. We packed the Bell Center on Tuesday nights in brutal snowstorms. We understand the chess game on the ice and in the offices. We endured years at the bottom of the standings because we were sold the promise of a real, lasting rebuild. If the front office deviated from this path now, going all in prematurely for one player and mortgaging the defensemen being groomed for the future, there'd be a riot in the streets of Montreal. The process is working. The young core is maturing faster than expected, as the article itself accidentally admits before diving into delirium. And when a core matures organically, the last thing you do is toss a financial grenade into the locker room. We can't ignore the article's mention of market options and pressure from other teams, stating, the Detroit Red Wings are exploring options, and the Utah Mammoth is seen as a serious bidder. This is the oldest corporate negotiation tactic, inflating the market through FOMO, fear of missing out. If Utah or Detroit want to burn 4 first-round assets, wreck their own salary structure, and commit to a player through 2031 whose profile already exists on our roster, Hughes will be the first to hold the door open and wish them luck. The Montreal Canadiens don't operate on the anxiety of divisional neighbors. Our route is mapped, the GPS is set, and there's no detour just because a rival executive panics. So, when reheated articles pop up on your timeline with expired deadline dates, absurd prices that strip vital pieces from our defensive board, and narratives that defy the salary cap logic our president of hockey operations spent years establishing, you know exactly what to do. Ignore the clickbait headline, recognize the chasm between rumor and modern NHL management, and trust that the reins of our franchise are in hands that master the cap game. The autopsy is signed and the corporate verdict is final. This fake news of market aggression expired before the fictitious date in the article itself. Our number 14 continues to lead the show. Caden Gould remains the anchor of our defensive system, and cap space will stay our most valuable weapon in the league. The radar in our war room keeps spinning relentlessly. We're armored against market delusions and always ready to deliver raw tactical and administrative truth. Stay tuned to our frequency. Keep the pride of Canada's sacred hockey mantle high, and we'll see you at the next intelligence operation. Go Habs go. The future isn't for sale.